Alright guys, we're here to play some Worx by FocusFB in LittleBigPlanet 2. Now I did do a first impressions video for this, but the computer decided to be smart and corrupt the file while I was recording it, meaning the video died and I had no footage. So I have to record it again. So I did have first impressions of this, about half an hour's worth, but now I'll have to compress them into 15 minutes, or even less than that. Just going over what I liked and didn't like about the level. Now first off, you'll see it's very basic. It is extremely basic in its design, and it's kind of to a fault really, like it's just too basic. It's good that it's consistent, but at the same time it's way too basic. Also, you should not be able to see the edge of the level boundary ever. You should not be able to see that white cushiony stuff on the left side of your screen. Ever. You should never be able to see that. It should always be hidden from view. You can also see if you kind of walk this way, you can just see it on the left, right next to the spawn point. It should never be visible. All you got to do to fix that is move the level to the left. That's it, and you'll never see it again. Also, we've got some level links here, which is kind of silly, given that you want us to play this level, but then you're sending us to other levels. Like, why are you doing that? It's a bit strange. You should put these at the end, so if people like your level, they can just go and play your levels then, after they finish this one, rather than beforehand. It also kind of defeats the purpose of this, because we already know who you are, because you've linked your levels, and then you put this here for no apparent reason. Alright, so we've got this first up. As you can kind of tell, it's extremely basic. Whoop. Deceptively difficult, but extremely basic. So you aren't dealing with anything too complicated here. The prize in that bubble, I believe, was just the word, just the sign that you see there. Right, so the camera changes when you jump down for some reason. The wood is grabbable. That piece of logic should be invisible, I should say, not invincible. Also, notice how the camera kind of turns upside down. Notice how it turns upside down. The slower you walk, the more slow it changes. That's because this is analog logic. I can stop here and it stays sideways. Seriously, what? Also, turning the camera upside down is not something you should really do until, like, at least halfway through the level, because that is disorienting as all hell. You should put that, like, towards the end. That bit. Okay, now take notice of this. There's this room, and this room, and then there's these three gates with stickers on them. Now, I did not figure this out the first time, but the buttons each remove one of the gates at the end. Like, you step on the button and the gate it corresponds to just disappears. You can't see it disappear. So you've got no idea what the button refers to until you get at the top and you're like, oh, those barriers are gone. Also, you saw a piece of wood disappear right in front of you that was sitting next to the starting point. Make that a gate or something that goes up on a chain or a piston. Don't just have it disappear. Things shouldn't just disappear for no reason. Okay, so there was a blue... I believe there was a blue, a red, and a green gate. I think this gets rid of the blue one. This button. And it's like a ding sound you can kind of hear, but it's very quiet. And I had the volume up not too loud, but loud enough to hear the game, and I couldn't hear that ding until like my third playthrough. Because I died several times, so I had to play the level several times, and you'll see why when I get to that bit. That's a red button. So, yeah, what should be done is a camera should activate. Just a 1-second camera just showing the piece of wood that the button corresponds to disappearing. Then you just cut right back to where Sackboy is. Really easy. Because otherwise you got no idea what these things do until you get to the top and you're like, what the hell am I doing? And it's confusing. And also, you can kind of, I'll just go back down. See how you can see the left side of the screen is like just 40% blue, and then I can't go back. Well, if I go up here, notice how the bottom half of my screen is the floor below me. Notice how if I was downstairs at this specific spot, if I was one level down, standing exactly where I'm standing now, the right side of the screen will be mostly blue. That's because there's no camera control here. There's no cameras at all. It's just, the camera's just entirely automatic. I have to jump to get the camera back up. So there should be a camera on each floor that just tracks you on that floor and cuts out what's above you, what's below you, the blue space to your left, and the blue space to your right. It should just show the room. That's all it should show, because otherwise it's just weird. See, he's clearly got the idea of a camera down, because he's changing the cameras. He just needs more cameras to control the camera in other places. I'm not sure it was in that score bubble. Okay, notice here we've got the shot of the Create-Nator, then a shot of that, then a shot of Sackboy. The only shot you need is the shot of the Lake of Fire. That's it. Also notice how the pieces of wood just disappear. Wouldn't you expect them to catch on fire because they're wood? I think that'd be really cool if they caught on fire. It'd be really good if they did that. Because this is a half-decent challenge. You just got to make it more aesthetically pleasing by making them catch on fire. It just makes perfect sense. It's like a why wouldn't you do it kind of thing. Okay, so we've got two power-up cancel things here. This is our first boss, a mini-boss. You gotta kind of hit this button here and then it starts. Notice how the attacks are really infrequent and really random. He turns upside down for a while and he's not shooting anything at me. And I don't know why. I don't know if there's a pattern, I can't detect it if there is. Maybe there is. Oh jeez. And he explodes, and the first time I beat him, he exploded right on top of me. He does shoot bombs, that boss. The boss does shoot bombs, but it's so infrequent that it poses no threat to you, so you basically just have to shoot boxes at that button until it dies. So it's a pretty easy boss. Also notice this. First of all, I can jump over it, which is bad. The entire point of this thing is to get rid of the power-up, and I can just dodge it like that. Secondly, that applause goes off over and over and over again. Every time you pass it, it should just be a one-shot thing. You can set speakers to play just once. So that's the option you should pick in the speaker settings. Third of all, notice how there's no base where the X is. The power-ups and the power-up canceller both have a little silver base. Notice that little piece of wood right there. The person who created the level has basically placed the power-up and the power-up cancellers a little bit below the surface of the wood and then covered it up. It's more aesthetically pleasing, it's more pleasing to the eye to have the base of the power-up thing visible than to have that random piece of wood sticking out. That is inconsistent and just weird. The base for the power-ups and the power-up canceller makes perfect sense. It makes sense that it gives a place for that light to come from. But the piece of wood down there just looks out of place. It looks like you're patching something up really cheaply. So, yeah, it's kind of cheap. This puzzle is what made me have to replay this level 3 times. It gave you time to remember it, then it put a big piece of cardboard in front of you, and then you have to remember where the platforms are. That's what the time was for. You remember where the platforms are, then you jump to where they are. That's the idea in the creator's mind. Here's what happens when you try it. Okay, I died. I died again. Died again. So I can't see where I'm going. I know what he was trying to do. What the creator was trying to do was trying to make a challenge where you have to remember where the platforms are, then jump from memory. The problem is you can't see how far you're jumping when there's a big question mark in front of the platforms. There's no way to know. If you want to make it so that it's more difficult, have it go light and dark. So it's like it's dark for a second and it's light for a second. So I can actually see where I'm going, but at the same time it's a little bit more difficult. Right? That's a compromise. Don't just put a big question mark in front of me, because then I can't see anything. I can't control my jump. I can't see how far I'm jumping. I can't see how far I have to pull back, because the jumping controls in this are really finicky, and you have to kind of wiggle the stick back and forth sometimes in midair to get Sackboy to land right in the specific spot that you want him to, especially with platforms like that are really small when you're over fire and you can't mess up. I got 1 life left, and I'm probably going to have to retry this level again now because of this. Because that wasted all my lives. I had no way of getting through that. I've never made it past the 2nd platform because of that. See what I mean? See how finicky the jumping in this is? You got to be careful with stuff like that. So at the very, very least, there should be a double life checkpoint there. One that gives you double the respawns. Or it should be an infinite life checkpoint. Or better yet, just get rid of that question mark block thing and just make it go light and dark. It makes way more sense. Oh, I can't get over how disorienting this is. Seriously, this is not the kind of thing you put in the level. Also, the blocks are kind of floating. I guess it's okay that they're floating. I'll take this time to talk about the presentation. As you can see, there's only one type of wood being used, and it's the default type of wood. There's another type of wood down there, I think, in those things that you throw. But that's it. That's 2 types of wood, one of which only appears like once. Okay, and you got books there. That's it. There's nothing else. Why is everything made of the same type of wood? You could at least have like 2 or 3 different types of wood. You know, at least that'd be a little bit more interesting. But it's really bland. The visuals are really, really bland. And you wouldn't have to change that much. Just change some of the materials. Split this thing up into smaller pieces for a start, because everything's one gigantic piece of wood. It's kind of... It's not just bad visually, it's bad, like, for creating, because the more corners a shape has, the more thermo it takes up. Stick to squares and rectangles, man. Single pieces for a staircase like this is fine, but you don't want to have your entire room be just one block of wood in some really awkward shape, because it makes it really hard to edit. If you want to modify one bit and leave another bit alone, if they're connected, that makes it really hard. So, see how you shot a bomb there? It's I don't know what triggers the bombs. I've got no idea if it's... Whoa, see what I mean? Like, what? Is it only over this side? Because it's just so... Oh my god, see what I mean? What triggers it? I just don't know. I can't figure it out. And if I can't figure out how to trigger it, I can't figure out how to dodge it. It just seemed random. There we go. Now here you got kind of like a flame treadmill thing. I like this. Whoa. Okay. Guess I must have messed up there. Harder than it looks. I like this. This is a good challenge. I like this. The bubbles are kind of random, but there we go. Okay, this. Notice how high the camera goes when this ends. I had no idea the first time I played this that the platform was going to move to the right. And neither did you, I'm going to bet. So I now have to wait for it to come back. Really, it should just disappear and respawn when you die. You shouldn't have to wait for it to come back. That's a bit silly. I mean, it will come back. There are some creators who would make it so it didn't come back. Thankfully, this is one of them. See, it does come back. What you got to do is you got to jump on it and then just hold right, because it moves just a little bit slower than you do in midair. So you can keep up with it, and the bubbles kind of do help, but at the beginning you can't see the bubbles, so you've got no idea. Also, why is there a big, massive... Oh, of course, it goes up, right. Again, the visuals are kind of... bleh. So, don't know why I'm questioning it. Okay, this is the final boss. This is the most random boss. It shoots fireballs randomly, comes at you randomly, shoots bombs randomly, which you can kill, thankfully. See what I mean? It's the width of the entire... Oh my god. It's the width of the... Like, it's 3 layers thick. So when it comes to get you, there's no dodging it. There's no way you can dodge it. There's literally no way. Holy... What? How are you supposed to dodge that? How are you supposed to dodge it? How are you supposed to dodge it? Oh my... How do you dodge that? There's nowhere to go. You're making the entire floor catch on fire. Like, what? Oh, come on. Oh, crap. Oh my god. What? Oh. There's nothing more to it than that, right? I'm going to stop there, because the boss is... I beat it the first time. I'm kind of annoyed I didn't get the video for that. But I beat it by chance. That boss is totally random. It comes at you randomly. There's no warning. There's no warning sounds. There's no way to dodge it when it comes at you. It just squishes you. Like, what are you supposed to do? And the fireballs just go randomly. It's random. That's the word to use. It's just random. It's way too unpredictable. You don't want a boss to be too predictable because then it's too easy. Like the first boss was just... It was just a dude rotating on a random floating block. There was no threat. The final boss was the complete opposite of that. It was just threat everywhere, and there's no pattern. You just gotta be lucky. So that's a bad boss just for the sake of being totally unpredictable, and there's no way you can dodge what it's throwing at you. There's no shields, there's no warning, there's no pattern, there's nothing. You just have to be lucky. So the final boss is kind of... bleh. It's kind of just annoying. It could be good, like the attacks are fine, it's just the fact that they're totally unpredictable in nature, and they're so sporadic, and it's just like a massive spread gun of fire just everywhere. It's just... ugh. Okay, so to improve the level, you could add some more types of wood to make it a little bit more visually interesting, because it is very, very bland, and that's a huge problem because it's very boring to look at. Some of the challenges could use a little bit of spicing up, like the one where you're shooting the blocks over the lake of fire. You could make the blocks catch on fire. It'd just be a nice aesthetic touch to add. Just gives the level a little bit of character. The first boss is too easy. The second boss is too hard. Find a happy medium and stick with that. The fact that there are two bosses in there is great, but they're just not worth fighting really, because they're just kind of random. And one is a pacifist, and the other one is just full-on aggressive. So find a medium where it's beatable, but it's still challenging. The upside down challenge at the beginning is a little bit weird and kind of disorienting, given you've just started playing. The level links at the beginning should go at the end, not the beginning. But apart from that, it's okay, I guess. It's nothing special, but it works. I can get from one end to the other. I have beaten it, so you can beat that boss. It's just hard. Needlessly hard. So, yeah, you can improve it a little bit, and it would get a little bit better, but it's nothing too special. But with that said, if you would like to submit a level for me to play through or give my first impressions for, submit the lbp.me link in the comment section below, or send me a PM here on YouTube. Be sure to mention whether it's your level or a level someone else made, and that determines what kind of video I make for it. Other than that, I am BludgerBoy, and I will catch you guys next time.